You're listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe of Torch in Houston, Texas. This is the Jewish Inspiration Podcast.
All right, welcome back, my dear friends. Welcome back to the Jewish Inspiration Podcast, to Mussar Mondays, to the Mussar Masterclass. It is so wonderful to be here. And what a coincidence. We were talking before we went live about there is no coincidence. There's no serendipity. Is the hand of Hashem just lining things up in such a magnificent way that we don't even know how it's possible. And the week that we're having our torch campaign at givetorch.net, the only time in the year that we ask that we open up the platform for partnership. We open up the IPO. And anyone who wants to invest can invest in Torch. It happens to be the week that we're talking about the 17th gate in the ways of the righteous in the Orchos Tzaddikim in the Treasure for Life edition on page 561, the gate of generosity. The gate of generosity. What an incredible gift that we have to be generous. Now, what does it mean to be generous? We think of generosity as giving a lot of money. That's what we think. I'm very generous. Generous, we'll see, has to do with your heart. Has to do with your heart. How much you want to give. Right? Someone who can only give $1 and he gives the $1. He only has $1 and he gives the $1. Who's more generous, him or Elon Musk giving $1 million? Right? Because to him, the $1 is everything he has. Very generous. The Elon Musk $1 million is not everything he has, not even close. If it was $1 billion, it still is less than that person's $1 to what his net worth is. So therefore, we have to understand that generosity is a sliding scale that changes by each individual person by wanting to get to a place. And let's see what the author here of the Orchos Tzaddikim talks about. So, generosity, hanedivus. Generosity is a trait through which a man achieves great heights. You'll achieve unbelievable heights by being generous. When one's generosity is expressed properly, it is extremely praiseworthy and leads to many attainments, both in this world and in the next. As the verse states in Proverbs, a man's giving will broaden the path for him and lead him before the great. By the way, generosity, we think about generosity is money. But generosity is also with words. Generosity is with kindness, generosity with thought, generosity in so many ways we can be generous. It doesn't have to be a dollar bill. Ki avur matnosov yehavu malachim b'sorim v'chol adam. For his gifts will endear him to kings, princes, and all men, all mankind. Ve'ein davar ba'olam ha'mevius ha'adam lidei ahavas ha'olam k'mo nadivus. And there's nothing that makes a person more lovable to mankind than generosity. And also in the world to come, he will receive fantastic reward for attaining this trait of generosity. There are three forms of generosity. Number one is monetary. Which is physical, the second. And the third is nedivus b'chachma, intellectual. You know what they say? They say is that for board members, to add a board member to an organization, they say that you need one of three W's. Work, or wealth, or wisdom. Those are the three W's. I say it's neither. I say it's heart. Someone who has a passion for what you're doing, that will overcome and that will be more powerful than someone who has money. It'll be more powerful than someone who has wisdom, and it'll be more powerful than someone who works. You need to have someone who has a heart. Someone who has a heart for something, they give their all for it. Ve'elu hashlosha hayu b'Avram Avinu. These three attributes, these three beautiful virtues, Abraham had. He was very, very giving with his money. It says that he planted an eshel. What's an eshel? An orchard. If you look at the verse states that Abraham served each of his three guests a tongue of an animal. That means he had to slaughter 3 animals. Although that is very costly. An animal is very expensive. Even today, you sell a cow, it's like almost a Tesla. It's really expensive, right? Nevertheless, he did not hesitate. Why? He has guests, prominent guests came to visit him. He's going to slaughter 3 animals for them. 3 animals so that each one has tongue. And Rashi explains that Abraham would ask his guests to bless Hashem for the provisions he offered them, explaining that ultimately it was all from heaven. They would say, okay, you it's like an inn. We came here, we ate, we rested, now we want to pay. He says, no. You pay by, repeat after me. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you. Right? They're like, what's this Hashem business you're talking about? And he explained to them the importance of thanking the creator of heaven and earth, and that flowers don't just show up. Now it's March, my favorite time of the year, springtime, when all of the beautiful flowers start blooming. It is so beautiful. I love it. The weather is just magnificent. Abraham says, you think that just happens on its own? You think the perfection of mankind, of a human body, is just random? Not random. There's a creator who put this all together. And Abraham created believers. Believers who understood that now there is a monotheistic God. There's one creator of heaven and earth who put it all together. That's how Abraham got followers, but he was generous with people. That generosity transformed the world. Now, we're going to see something very interesting. It says, Vayita Eshel. He planted an orchard. Our sages tell us the Eshel is 3 letters. Aleph, Shin, and Lamed. Aleph, Shin, and Lamed. What's Aleph? Aleph is for Achila. Shin is for Shtia, which is for drinking, eating and drinking. And the other is for Levaya, which is escorting. Our sages tell us that when you have a guest, you feed them, you give them something to drink, and then you escort them out. So no one feels like they came to your house and they needed you, and now you are so gracious to feed them, feel a little bit, uncomfortable, But when you walk them out, it gives them a great feeling. My rabbi said, there's a midrash that says that if you don't escort your guests out, there's danger of fire, because Aleph and Shin, Achila and Shtia, eating and drinking that you give, you provide for your guests, is also fire. It's not an orchard. But when you walk them, it becomes an eshel, it becomes a beautiful orchard. Our sages tell us if you only give them food to eat and something to drink, is a danger of fire coming to your home. So my rabbi asked, says, I don't understand. You go out of your way. You invite guests to your home. You prepare delicious food. You prepare the finest beverages. And then you just don't walk them out the door. And now you're in danger of your house burning down because of that? He says, no, you have to understand what that means. So what it means is, Aish, fire, is always representative of embarrassment. He says that when someone is embarrassed, their face either turns white, pale, their blood is spilled. You embarrass someone in public, sometimes they'll turn pale, or their face will turn red like fire. He says that if you just feed them and give them something to drink, they're embarrassed. I had to come on to somebody else. But when you walk them out, it gives them a good feeling, like, oh, he enjoyed my stay. He enjoyed that I was there. It comforts them. And that makes it into an orchard so that your guests don't leave with embarrassment, with that fire, but rather they leave with a beautiful orchard. You took such good care of them because now not only you gave them to eat and drink, but you wanted to spend every last moment with them. Now, one of my Sephardic friends, he says, I'm walking you out just to make sure you don't come back. No, I'm just, right? He was just kidding. If you know who I'm talking about, Rabbi Yaakov, and he's very funny. So either way, he says, no, I'm not walking you to make you feel good. I'm just walking to make sure, you know. Okay, so he says, Nediv begufo, he was generous with his body. How? Shehitzil lot ben achiv nilcham avuro. How was he generous with his body? So he was generous with his money, we know, Abraham. He was generous with his body. He went to fight for his nephew. And by the way, it was a nephew he didn't really get along with. But he went out of his way. And he was in Nediv b'chochmaso. Ki lamad kol, limed kol ha'olam derech hayosher, because he taught the entire world the right way, the way of Hashem, ad shenizgayiru, until they all converted. You see, it's an amazing thing. Each and every one of us, you hear this, David? Each and every one of us have some wisdom that we've learned, hopefully, maybe from these classes even. But you've learned over the years, you've learned something, you've read books, you've gained wisdom. You have to share that with the world. That's being generous. That doesn't mean reprimanding people. That doesn't mean going in the bank and correcting people. You shouldn't skip over that line, and there are people waiting, and that's not what we're talking about. That happens in Israel. They say, how you raise your child in Israel? Take them to the park. Everyone will teach you how to raise your child. Everyone is opinionated. Not that kind. We're talking about just sharing wisdom. Wisdom. Share it with your children. Share it with your family. Share it with your neighbors, with your friends. Don't just sit there at Starbucks and have coffee with your friends and talk about your neighbors and talk about, oh, did you see that person? Did you hear about that person? Did you hear about them? They went here, they went there. No, talk about something inspiring. But how to become a better person, like Abraham did. Abraham wasn't a social guy. He was a very social guy. And you know what? He went to bat for Sodom as well. Not only for his nephew Lot. He went to bat for the whole city of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? God tells him, I'm going to destroy the city. He says, well, let's talk about this, right? Yeah, maybe if there's 50 righteous, 48, 5, 40, 30, 20, 10, even that there wasn't. But a whole negotiation. Who do you negotiate with God? Who are you to negotiate with God? Buying time, so to speak, even. You know why? Because he cared. He was generous about the lives of other people. So we think generosity is about money. Generosity is not only about money. It's also about your wisdom, and it's also about your physical body, volunteering, helping out, putting your neck out for somebody else. And that's what it says. It says in the verse, all of the souls that they made in Haran. And this is a very, very virtuous trait. Because a person becomes honorable through this trait. Many will befriend through it a generous person. Everybody wants to be next to a generous person. What does it mean, generous? I'll give you an example. I have a friend in Israel. Very, very special person. In fact, it's not only him, it's his whole family. Very, very special people. They learned something from their father. That complimenting people doesn't cost you anything. And every person he meets, he gives them a nice compliment. Yeah, it's a beautiful tie. You have such beautiful eyes. You have such a nice smile. You're wearing a beautiful jacket. Always something nice. And you know what? Everybody I know loves this entire family. Everybody I know wants to be friends with them. Why? Because they're generous. They're generous with words, with compliments. They make everybody feel good. Who doesn't want to be around someone who's generous like that? That I know every time I see them, they're going to say something nice to me. Every time I see them, they're going to compliment. They're going to make me feel good. They're going to uplift me. What an amazing way to live life. Everybody wants to be next to such a person. And such a person who is so generous, everybody will listen when they chastise someone to return to the service of Hashem. Im hu tzarech le'ezrach hakol yazur, and if he needs help, everyone is there to help. Ve'akol b'shalom imo, and everybody is in peace with such a person. Vida, and know, shahamatana b'makom shehi ru'uya kigon tzedakah la'aniyim yirei shamayim osa matana hi matmon safon she'eno ne'evedes barichus yamim. He says, and just know that the proper form of charity, giving to someone who's God-fearing, giving in the right place, giving in the appropriate manner, in a manner that is humble, in a manner that is modest, that nobody needs to know. We don't make announcements. We're there to help. Such a good deed goes a very, very, very long way. Ach, yomedes kol yomim. It stands forever. Such good deeds endures forever. Vizo haisa kavana Shlomo Melech. This is what King Solomon has taught us, alav hashalom, of blessed memory. Shnemar shalach lachmecha al pnei amayim ki berov hayomim timtzaenu. King Solomon said, cast your bread upon the water, for after many days you will find it. You spread it out, you give lovingly, it'll come back. And it'll be amazing. I want to share with you an amazing story. If you want to hear how such a thing has happened. There was a man whose daughter got engaged in Ashdod, in the coastal city of Ashdod in Israel. I've said this story before, talking about judging people favorably, but I think it fits in perfectly here. So this man was not a well-to-do man. In fact, he was actually challenged financially, and his daughter got engaged, and everyone's mazel tov. He's make a wedding, and he's terrified. How is he going to make a wedding? The rabbi very privately and quietly went to a few people in the synagogue and said, this person's making a wedding. Maybe we can help him out. Maybe we can put together some funds. And they put together a nice, modest package so that he can marry off his daughter with dignity. And they give it to him. And comes the wedding, and people are absolutely disgusted. This is what we raised money for? This is the charity? This is the nicest wedding we've ever been to. I mean, you're talking about it was decked out. The meal was a 10-course meal. All the flowers are the most magnificent flowers they've ever seen. The lighting, you name it. It was like the most magnificent. They're like, this is what we gave money to? Wow, disgusting. It's unreal. It's unreal that someone would do something with the money from charity. This is what we did to help him have a dignified wedding. He goes all out like this. They were very, very distasteful. The next day, this man comes to shul and nobody wants to say mazel tov to him. Nobody wants to shake his hand. Everyone is like ignoring him. A few days later, he goes to the rabbi. He tells the rabbi, what's going on here? Why? Did I do something wrong? My daughter's wedding? He says, look, I'll be honest with you. People are very upset. I'm also a little upset. He says, we raised money to help you make a wedding, and this is the type of wedding you throw. He says, I'll tell you. Let me tell you what happened. He says, I was surprised by that wedding too. He says, when I came to meet the caterer, so I start filling out the application. And I fill out the application. And he looks at my name, and he says, 1 second, where's your family from? He says, my family is from a little village, you don't know, from Europe, pre-Holocaust. He says, no. I need to know, where's your family from? He says, I'm from this little village. He tells him the name. He says, no, I cannot believe it. He says, I've been looking for you my whole life. He says, your father saved my father's life. He says, I'm here just because of your father. He says, forget the application. Whatever you can give, you give. I'm making this wedding for you. He says, I was just as surprised as you were, Rabbi. The rabbi's like, we owe this man a big apology. The rabbi spoke to his congregation. He said, we need to learn what it means to judge people favorably. We all came and thought we knew the story, and yet we didn't. There's always another side to the story. But look how amazing, something that happened 50, 60 years earlier came back and was repaid so many years later. Put your bread out there in the ocean. Go help. It will come back to assist you in a later time. How many times, I can't even begin to tell you how many times people donated money to an organization like Hatzalah and purchased an ambulance or purchased a stretcher for an organization that later saved their life with the same equipment they donated. I can tell you stories and stories and stories like this. When we do something and we're generous, don't make calculations. Just do it. It's going to come back. Eventually, it will. Timtza'enu. It will find you. Your kindness, your generosity will come back to benefit you. And that's not why we do it. We don't do it because, one day it'll help me. No, we do it because this is the will of Hashem. But King Solomon teaches us, Shalach lachmecha, cast your bread upon the water, for after many days it will find you. Upshat hapasuk mitzave al nadivus. And this plainly understood verse teaches us about generosity. Ki mi shezoreach chesed kotzet tvuasa. Someone who sows kindness will reap its harvest. Umi sheyesh bo midah zo misasher. And someone who possesses this trait will become very, very wealthy, exceedingly wealthy. As it is written, there are those who scatter and accumulate more. Yesh mefazer v'nosef od. How's it possible? They're giving more. I spoke to someone yesterday, the beginning of the campaign, and he tells me, Rabbi, I don't think God is happy with me. I said, why not? He says, I literally have given more charity than I'm allowed to. For the next 3 years, I already gave out my charity. He had a good business deal, and the money is being paid out over the next few years. He said, I already gave out more than I should be giving out for the next 3 years. Isn't that amazing? It's an amazing generosity. But you know what happens? Someone who scatters out accumulates even more. Hashem says, you're such a good custodian for my money. You give it out so well, I'm going to give you more to give out for me. If you have a good assistant who writes the checks for you and takes care of it, you give them more responsibilities, right? Hashem does the same. Hashem says, it's my money. I'm giving it to you. You're giving it out well. I'm going to give you more because I like the way you're doing this. I like the way you execute on this. It also says, he who gives to the poor will not lack. King David said about those who were generous, Pizar nasen le'avyonim, tzidkaso omedes la'ad. He who has given generously to the poor, his charity endures forever. This noble trait is considered a loan to Hashem. It's an amazing phrase. Ve'hamida chashuv azos halva hi etzel habore yizbarach. Shenemar mal ve'Hashem chonin dal. He who is gracious to the poor lends to Hashem, and Hashem repays his debts. And King Solomon tells us, Aseh chesed in misha ro'uloi, v'misha einoi ro'uloi. Misha ro'uloi yeh b'hachesed b'mkomo. V'im misha einoi ro'uloi, tihye ato ro'ula soisoi ki haboret siva lasos hatov ha'chesed. He says, do kindness with one who is worthy of it, and with one who is even not worthy of it. With one who is worthy of it, the kindness will be appropriate. And with one who is not worthy of it, you will be worthy of doing it. For Hashem commanded to do good and kindness. V'amru chacham, and the sages of blessed memory said, Mi sheyitin matana gdol l'mi sheshol hamatana hu chatzi nadif. Aval hanodiv hasholem hu ashenosen todir me'at orav kodim sheyishalu mimenu. He says, one who gives a great gift to someone who asks is called half generous. The perfectly generous person, our sages tell us, is one who gives always a lot or a little before he's even asked. Before he's even asked. This is unbelievable. When we conclude day number 95 in our journey of understanding what it means to be generous, it's breathtaking. It's breathtaking to see the gift. It's in our hands. We could be generous. We can be giving. And we're not even giving away from our own. We're giving Hashem. Hashem says, I borrowed it. Thank you for lending it on my behalf. I'm going to give it back to you. And you're going to get it right back. And you're going to get it right back. Again and again and again and again. People think like, I'm out of funds. I'm out. And you give it anyway. Hashem says, I'll replenish it. I got it. I got you covered. Thank you for taking care of it for me. My dear friends, we have such incredible opportunity in our hands. This concludes day number 95. My dear friends, we're going to continue with day 96.
You've been listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe on a podcast produced by Torch, the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. Please help sponsor an episode so we can continue to produce more quality Jewish content for our listeners around the globe. Please visit torchweb.org to donate and partner with us on this incredible endeavor.